So what if you're not qualified for ministry? Coming up next on Pastor Bob's Coffee Break. Good morning, my friends. Afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening to this. I'm drinking a little bit of holy cacao this morning. Greatest coffee. Coffee with a little bit of cacao beans in it from the Amazon rainforest. So good. Want to remind you that our poster, our mug, our t-shirt of the month is Embrace the Grace. And then finally, our regular blend. And this is our classic blend, 2-pound bags. Awesome, awesome coffee. You can get all of that right here. WeAreMetal.com. Here's our question for today. Dear Pastor Bob, I feel so unqualified to be involved in ministry. There are so many people who can do things so much better than I can. Is there really a place for me in the grand scheme of things spiritually? Well, I want to let you in on a little bit of a secret today. I'm on this page. I feel unqualified all the time because I know me, and I keep thinking there's so many people that are smarter, that are better, that are, more able to do this than I am, that maybe don't mess up as much, all of that. And we do this to ourselves. And we feel like, really, can God use me? Can he use me? The answer is yes. I'm a good example. The bottom line is this. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. He uses people. We talked about David yesterday, King David. The Bible says a man after God's own heart, who was an adulterer, murderer, etc., etc. Yeah. God used him in mighty ways. Wrote most of the songs in the Bible. Yeah. David. I keep looking at David, and I think if David can be used by God in a mighty way as he was, maybe there's hope for me too, and for you. But God doesn't call the qualified. And we look at these people that are so capable, and we think, well, surely God will call them. And why doesn't he call them? Well, it's the ones who respond. It's the heart of a person, like David. God sees the very heart of the person. I'm so glad that he does. He doesn't look at all of my bumbling mistakes. He sees what is the heart, because you and I also see the heart. At the end of the day, it's not the qualified person who usually really touches us. It's the person God's called and can speak from their heart that makes the biggest difference in our lives. Well, I want to go to 2 Corinthians 3:5 today, and I'm going to begin by reading it from the Living Translation, or that we haven't used a whole lot in here, the NLT, the New Living Translation. It's a great, great translation. It says, "It is not that we think we are qualified to do anything on our own. Our qualification comes from God." So just about the time that we think, okay, I'm educated enough, we go through all of the hoops. I'm ready. Now, that isn't what makes you ready. I've met so many pastors in my life that I am convinced we're not called to be pastors. Now, they went to seminary. Excuse me. Chokes me up. They went to seminary, they went to all the training, they got a degree in psychology, maybe, whatever it is. Are they qualified? No, not necessarily. Why? Because God's really the one that qualifies. And if God calls somebody to be a pastor or a teacher or, whatever it might be, is schooling the thing that qualifies them? Absolutely not. It's God. I want to read it from the Amplified Bible. It says, not that we are fit or qualified and sufficient in our abilities. It's not that. Not that we are fit of ourselves to form personal judgments or to claim or count anything as coming from us, but our power and ability and sufficiency are from the Lord. Our power, our ability, and our sufficiency comes from God. Now, that ought to be inspiring to you today. That ought to make you think, wow, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I am qualified because he qualifies me, not because somebody else did. He doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. I hope that's an inspiration to those of you who are just sitting there because you think you're not good enough. If you're called, God will give you the sufficiency. And don't forget, folks, you are blessed. Holy cacao, you're blessed. So go and be a blessing.